Hello, Divine Light Activators, and welcome to Season 2 of Own Your Divine Light Show. My name is Janet Miller, and I am thrilled to welcome back Ariella Indigo. Ariella is an oracle, a catalyst, and a mentor. Ariella helps new paradigm leaders to activate their divine gifts and higher abundance so that they can create a supernatural impact in the world. Ariella is a cherished mentor of mine who has activated me to the next level of my divine gifts and has led me to create this show and so much more in my life. I can say I'm eternally grateful to you, Ariella, for the leap of faith I took working with you, and I am eternally grateful because I know how much you have impacted people, so many people in the world with your divine gifts. And Ariella is currently working and producing her online weekly show called Ascension Talk with Ariella, where she brings in many experts from all over the world to help you even dig deeper into this world of higher shifting that we're doing. And Ariella has been interviewed recently at the Conscious Life Expo, and she has created an astonishing method of activating your divine blueprint with the creation codes. Ariella has hosted and I also hosted a creation code retreat in the UK this summer, which went so well. I wished I could have been there. So, Ariella, welcome. I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me back, because I was very much honored to be part of your season 1 as well. And hello to all of the beautiful viewers that are watching this, and just setting the intention that you have a truly valuable audience experience of watching this interview. And I just want to share very quickly how much I love Janet. I adore Janet. We've been on a lovely journey together, and it has been an honor to be a guide to you for a period of time, and just to get to know you. And you've got such an amazing heart and such an amazing light and some incredible gifts, which I'm very pleased to see that you are being able to share with the world. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ariella. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. So, Ariella, big question. What do you think of the collective consciousness now, and what point are we at right now in 2019?
Well, we're at a very interesting point, aren't we? There is so much going on in the world at the moment, politically and in many other ways. So, here I am as a Brit, and we have Brexit that's just off very much at the moment, and new prime ministers, new leadership, councils coming in, and there's a lot of, particularly in the UK at the moment, my local community, there's a lot of unsettled people, of course, and I know that it's the same in the States and many other places in the world. And I think we're really looking at these leaders, the leaders of what I would consider to be the old world, or the old paradigm leaders, coming from that very much that patriarchal mindset and mentality. And of course, we are very much questioning that structure and the system that we are all birthed into. I mean, just on a personal note, and this may help some people that are watching, I went through a stage when I went through my spiritual awakening, of really kind of of really detaching and becoming quite judgmental, actually, of these structures and our government and leadership and all of these things, and really detaching from it and kind of going to the other extreme, and I got very much into like social media and what different conspiracy theories are saying and all of this type of stuff. And I think a lot of us do when we're on the spiritual ascension path and we're waking up, right?
Totally. Totally went down the rabbit hole.
And I think part of that is like we need to, you know, and people who have like, and I'm going to share a little bit more about the esoteric system that I work with later on, where you can see your soul blueprint, your soul profile. And it's particularly for people I've noticed who have 11 twos in their profile. They are like the truth seekers and they go down this rabbit hole, right? And it's the conspiracy theories, but they're here to be the truth teachers. So like part of my journey of exploring all of this stuff, and you know, part of everybody's journey, I think, with exploring this stuff is trying to understand what your own truth is. Yeah, because you're supposed to be here to be a truth teacher. So these days I actually have a lot more compassion about patriarchy, for example. I went through a stage where it was like, you know, patriarchy and, you know, I'm carrying the womb of womanhood on my shoulders and, oh, you know, and of the anger and the rage and all of that stuff. But then I realized, well, it's not really helping myself or anybody else, because it's just like, it's the mirror image, but the opposite. And I even though I don't like a lot of what is going on in the world at the moment, of course, the same as everybody else, it's pretty horrific to see what consciousness is doing. I do trust, though, that there is this higher plan.
Yes.
You know, there is this divine plan, and that like there is only evolution. You know, we are only evolving into something which is greater, into something which is like more love-based, more purpose-based, more meaningful. But of course, as we're going through this process, we have to go into the shadow.
Yes, absolutely.
We have to go into the shadow to find the light. It's the same as our own individual evolutionary processes. You know, it's always darkest before the dawn. There is always a breakdown before there's a breakthrough. And this is very much what I'm seeing in the collective at the moment. So it's just a representation, like all of this disturbances and these crazy leaders, which we're all electing. It's a representation of that, like that breakdown. You know, we're going to have that shift soon. And that's what I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, because I went down that rabbit hole too, Ariella. I totally got caught up in conspiracy theory. Oh my goodness. But you know, as you're saying, it was a huge learning experience, because I opened my mind to things that I couldn't think of this. You can't think of these conspiracies. It's like, wow, where do people come from? I mean, how do they think of this? And so what I've heard recently about that is that that's a lower dimensional paradigm that you can choose to stay in, or you can shift into the 5D, which is now for us, because we are shifting and we are actually in the 5D. I mean, and if you want to call 5D higher consciousness, which it is, and it's all about, which we were briefly talking about, like integrating your ego, and your ego is a good thing to own. And I'm learning this, and you know, the heartfelt people like you and me, like we talked about earlier, is that we came in with surrender. Like we totally surrendered to everything. We were ready to, you know, we were kind of like the servants to everyone. We were there to help. We're there to help. We're there to help. And then we look and go, why isn't anyone helping me? You know, what's going on? Why am I always giving and not getting, you know? But yet now with this ego balance, to integrate that part of you and say, okay, it's because we don't think we should have an ego. We think it's like the wrong thing, because we were taught by all kinds of methods, religion and teachers and society and culture, not to be in your ego. It's just not godlike, or it's not, you know, humble. And, you know, you can only go so far with humble, because if you don't have enough ego to take care of yourself, we're trampled. I mean, and the interesting part is someone just said, and I was listening to, I think it was Matt Kahn. He said, you know, we were the ones that, the thought just went out of my head. He said, if we If we don't connect with our ego, then we people who don't connect with their ego, once they start connecting with it, that they cannot take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know how to take care of themselves.
Well, you can't, it's very difficult to be a strong leader if you don't connect with your ego.
Yeah.
So like you need to have your ego to be able to know like who you are, what you stand for in the world, what your truth is, to be able to express your truth, to be able to be resilient to when other people disagree with you. So the ego can be a very, very helpful vehicle as well. Absolutely. But, you know, I very much with these conspiracy theories, you know, there is truth in lots of different theories.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, you know, I don't, you know, conspiracy sort of theorists, they get given a really hard time from society. Yeah. And actually a lot of them are here on incredible missions and they are sharing a reality of truth. But of course we know at the highest level, we're all source. We are all source. We come from one source and we're all one.
Yes.
We are all the same. And there's just we're just different aspects of the one truth, the one creator.
Yes, we are. Exactly.
Having these experiences in these physical forms of remembering that we are the creator and learning how to consciously create.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're kind of going through life thinking that there's all of these amazing coincidences which are happening to us, not realizing that, you know, we are creating as we step forwards.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I agree with, there's a lot of truth to some of the conspiracy because, you know, they claim we're not alone. So if we're not alone, and there's going to be an awakening to that fact too, sooner rather than later. And so until you embrace that fact, and you can at least know that you're not going to die on the spot if something shows up in our front lawn or, you know, over the White House or whatever it's going to be, or over the Parliament, and says, we're here and we've always been here, but you weren't ready for us. And now we're here to show you we're here. And, you know, until people, you know, we don't want people to die of shock and, you know, all that, but it's good to plant a seed. Like it may not happen in our lifetime, but it might, because what we're, you know, you never know. You've got to just be open. It's an opening, you know, to just, you know, be willing and open to, you know, embrace something new. And
yeah, I'm pretty grateful to those conspiracy theorists because you know my story, Janet, but like very, very briefly, I am somebody who has experienced a lot of visitations in my life, many visitations. And for many years, I was in denial that other beings existed outside of our third dimensional reality, because honestly, the whole concept was absolutely terrifying to me. It wasn't in my family's belief system. I didn't have any tools to be able to cope with that.
Yeah.
So I you know, I'm very deeply grateful for people who have found the courage to step out in society and speak their truth at the risk of society calling them crazy or crackpots or mentally ill or whatever, like these things are that get thrown at them. Because when I was coming out of my denial and when I was really literally seeing through the veil, it was those people that helped me to, like, you know, not abandon myself again and call myself crazy and like end up in a bad way because my reality wasn't being accepted or enforced by anything external to my primary conditioning. So
oh yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And I do agree with that. I think that because of the conspiracy theorists that I follow, I mean, many of them are, you know, bestsellers in the New York Times that I follow. I mean, I love listening because they're educated people. They're highly educated and they're just opening up to something newer that people weren't willing to embrace. And so, yes, it makes us much more validated in what we're doing and making us feel, okay, we're not alone in the world when we're bringing out these things that we're bringing out. And you're right,
Yeah.
that's a great path.
Yeah.
So what do you think your role is right now? What is your role for your present work?
Yeah. The key primary role that I find myself playing on the planet at this time, because this was honestly nothing I ever saw coming. I was in corporate for 16 years, you know, totally asleep, business manager, a buyer. But the role that I find myself playing today is a role where I'm giving guidance to others, so spiritual guidance. So you could call me an oracle, because I guide other people on their evolutionary paths and through their ascension journeys. So I'm an oracle, but I'm also helping other people to activate their own guidance. So like really understanding and connecting with their guidance and following it. I come from this very like left-brained background, corporate, very kind of like business orientated, physical, third dimensional family. Didn't know anything about like, you know, anything apart from the physical, thought it was all crazy. And it has really been this journey of stepping into my intuition, trusting my intuition, because my intuition was actually always there, you know, always there from a young girl, but I didn't understand that there was anything outside these five senses. So it was very interesting. I mean, I'm just in the process. I'm launching my Oracle training academy very shortly. So that I can train other people to do what I do and give readings and help other people on their paths. And just as I'm sort of like looking back into, well, you know, because I believe for everybody watching this, your soul has been training you on something. If you look back into the past, you can actually start to predict where you're going in the future, because there are patterns. You know, there are like, it's no coincidence. You the experiences that you've had in your life. Right. And I was chuckling to myself earlier today, because I was remembering when I was first stepping out as an oracle, as a psychic, as a reader. I'd left corporate, and by this point, Janet, it was like I'd been in corporate for 16 years, successful business manager, had been given the responsibility over like multiple £1 million worth of spend for some of the biggest companies in the world. I was used to going into the boardroom, doing presentations to the CEOs of big companies. Like all of this stuff was, you know, was kind of in my armory. There has rarely been a more terrifying time than when I left that world and I was activating my psychic, my intuitive gifts. I actually interviewed to be on a psychic line, you know, one of these phone lines.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And there was this like experienced medium who was going to be testing me out. I had to give him a reading, right, to see whether I qualified to be one of their readers. And the fear that I felt about that interview was much greater than anything I'd ever experienced in corporate. You know, because it was like, that's it. When you're trusting your intuition and you're trusting your guidance and you're sharing it with other people, and you know that it's going to like impact their lives in some way, it's a huge responsibility.
It is. Yeah.
So stepping into that and learning to trust your guidance, which, yeah, I believe that every single person who is watching this has your own connection to spirit, to source, to your soul. And we don't need those like middle men, you know, in sort of like religions. We don't need to have somebody who is speaking like to you from God. You know, every single person has their own connection to source. So the role that I find myself playing in the world at the moment, the key role, is helping people to connect to their guidance and trust that implicitly and follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, and I love what you said about when you went on the medium psychic call to get interviewed. Did you make it? Did you get on?
I got it. He was really impressed with me. And he
Cool.
couldn't believe how long I'd been doing, which wasn't very long at this point. But I mean, that wasn't the direction that I was ultimately heading.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't last very long, and it's interesting because I actually chose a company who were a new startup. So I knew that they didn't really have their marketing locked in. I knew that there wouldn't be many people
Okay.
because I
So
was
you gave yourself a soft opening, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah, that's well, and that's what they say when you're truly on your path, your true path. You're totally uncomfortable because you know it's something you need to do. Like anytime we're uncomfortable, right? Aren't we told now we have to do it because that's where you're supposed to go? I mean, that's what I've been learning. This whole year has been a learning of uncomfortability, and we both, you know, we're both. Your path has been this there too, and it's like we have to be uncomfortable. Otherwise, we know it's not going to be something valuable for us to go towards.
It's
And,
the heroes or the heroine's journey, isn't it? It's that whole thing of stepping out of the ordinary world, in other words, your comfort zone, the world that you've always known, which for me was the corporate world. I'd been having these sort of weird supernatural experiences since I was younger, but no, that was me, you know, being like weird, you know, and suppressing them. And then, you know, coming out of that denial, crossing the threshold into the extraordinary world or the magical world, because it's the same. It might look different, but our paths are all the same. And for everybody who's watching this, you know, all of you have like unique gifts that you're here to share with the world. You all have a divine purpose or purposes. Like there is, you know, huge potential in all of us, much more than we could ever imagine. But you do have to, in order to activate those gifts and in order to serve in the way that you can possibly serve and to make the impact in the world that you can make, you do have to face the very things that create the most resistance in yourself, can often bring up the most fear and sometimes the most pain, and you need to like go through it and transmute them, because the reality is that fear, that pain, that resistance, it's an illusion. It's not who you are. It's not really who you are. And there are gifts the other side of those like barriers, of those blocks for you, but you don't get to activate them unless you walk through the resistance.
Yeah, I was listening, as I said, I was listening to someone today, and he was talking about the illusion. He goes, okay, so show me the illusion of oneness. Show me oneness. What's oneness? Show it to me. And nobody could show it because it's, you know, it's right.
Yeah.
Also, like, show me, oh, there was something else he said, but you couldn't produce it. So he said that it's, you know, illusion. Well, he goes, we live here and this is our reality right now. He goes, this is the aspect of our consciousness that we've chosen right now to make physical and to be the creator being, source energy coming through us to teach us and for us to be in our greatness at this moment as our creator beings and this is how we are actually serving the creator in the universe, is by being truly who we are, by being truly in our authentic self of who we are. And it takes getting through what you just said, owning those, you know, dark spots. And once you connect to it and balance it, like you were talking about the masculine, how you were so into the patriarchal and against it. I went down that same route. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, no, you can't do. Now I know. I was like, gee, you know, it's such a learning experience when you do these things.
Isn't it?
Now I'm like, okay, you know, now that isn't fair. You're not open. You're very judgmental. So being judgmental is keeping you in this other place you don't want to be. You want to be in the heartfelt to a point, but your ego has to give you boundaries. So boundaries are that you are, you know, that we need to integrate the masculine and the feminine. And this is what our work is right now, connecting to feminine energy, bringing in that heartfelt. And the masculine has given us a lot, but to make it integrate, is becoming the ego. Literally, when we integrate the ego correctly, is what I'm understanding how he said it, was that now we have owned our soul. We've totally integrated our soul, which I was like, wow. What do you think of that?
Yeah, very, very interesting what you're bringing up. So definitely agree. We're here to balance and to integrate the masculine and the feminine energies inside of ourselves. And we need both. You know, both need to be working in collaboration, in unison with each other, so that we can all like really thrive while we're here and reach our highest potential. The way that I see it is the feminine is very much the direction. So you know, she's got the intuition, she's the vision holder. Like, our hearts tell us where they want us to go. And sometimes it makes no sense to us on a physical level, right? Which is where the masculine can sometimes like freak out, or there can be a disagreement between the masculine and feminine, because she's like, well, look, I want to go over here. You know, I want to move countries, or I want to join this program, or I want to like go. And he's like, well, hold on, sweetheart, right? You know, we've got mortgages, we've got bills. You know, if I leave my job, then how are we going to afford it? But so then the masculine is responsible for coming up with the strategy. We need strategies.
Yeah.
And the feminine is the vision holder. And actually, I see it like, I've come to know it as a triangle. So at the top, you've got spirit. Spirit are like downloading to you what your soul mission is, you know, what what the juicy kind of spirit driven ideas are that you're here to manifest in the world. Like, this is your soul essence coming in. And then like either side, so here you've got inner work. Okay, so here you've got inner work, and here you've got like commitment. So let me just explain that. So inner work is that you're never going to compare, go in, do your work and do the inner work that's necessary in order so that you can activate your gifts and you can actually reach your highest potential. So like, your mission is never going to outstrip your inner work. Yeah, so that piece really needs to be looked at, and stuff needs to be flushed into consciousness so that you can see what are the patterns, like what is the stinking thinking which is holding me back, right? That needs to be looked at and shift. And then over here you've got commitment. So this is more the masculine. So this is like, if you're you know, we still need goals. And I think a lot of time in the spiritual community, it's almost like we've been in patriarchy, and then we go to the other extreme, and it goes very into the feminine. And it's all based on intuition and synchronicity and divine flow. But without goals, which is just about your intention, setting your intention, like energy needs to have a target. You know, energy needs to have a target to know what you want to complete and to find the fastest route for you through something. So if there isn't a goal, then you might be like in the feminine energies and flowing along, but you may not like get where you need to go, right? And you may not be able to activate the gifts or create the impact. So you still need goals, and you still need to be committed to whatever your like creations are. And you know, for some of you that might be, you know, hey, look, you've just signed up to a program, and there's often, you know, and I've experienced myself, there's like an initial rush when you join up to a program. It's like, well, hey, this is going to be the thing which sorts everything out, and here we go. And then there can be like, after the initial excitement, there can be this sort of down curve where you're like, oh, you know, I didn't realize there was this and there's that. And is it going to work for me? And at that point, you know, that's where we need to like grit our teeth, trust in our creations, commit to our creations, and follow things all the way to the end. If we disconnect, if we stop committing at that point, then we never get to see what we've created on the other side, because there is always going to be resistance that comes up for us, you know, particularly when you're looking at your own shadow. You know, there's no such thing as anybody else doing something to you. It's only ever you against you, and it's only ever you helping yourself to evolve. So of course you're going to create tests for yourself. Now, of course you're going to create roadblocks, because as we all know, that's the best way to learn. It's when we're working through stuff like that. So we need to stay committed to the path that we're on, you know, in order to get to the end of it. So it's those three things really in unison. Like it's spirit, and by that I mean, like, one of the things that I work with is I help people to illuminate people's soul blueprints for them. Like, who are they? Like, how are they designed at soul level? How are they divinely coded? What are their gifts? What direction are they designed to head in? Like, who are they at soul level? What is their karmic challenges? What are their goals? And I've got an incredible system, and I'm going to be sharing it with your viewers. I've got a free access pass for your viewers.
Oh, wonderful.
So go down the rabbit hole, a good rabbit hole, understanding more who you are. And that spirit part at the top of the triangle, you know, when you are reconnected to spirit, which is initially through your soul, because you were talking about your soul, and I know you've experienced this, Janet, like the rush of love, of healing, of nurturing. You know, when you're connected to spirit, which is through your soul blueprints, you know, that life force energy, when it starts pouring into you, it's like, you know, there is no drug, there is no drink, there is nothing more nourishing, more satisfying, truly satisfying than that feeling of being connected to source, which is through your soul, and anchoring that soul energy into the earth plane. But you do need to have the inner work and also the commitments to make, you know, to make like the foundations, to bring to ground your soul energy into the earth plane.
Yeah, that's exactly what, you know, that's what commitment is. And that's what, you know, I came into, what, like, you kind of ignited me back into it and I joined your program. I mean, really, because I was sort of in the, what do I want to do now? Where do I go? And when we connected, I was like, I need to do this, and just totally reignited my path. You totally reignited my path with this blueprint, this divine blueprint I got for myself, and knowing who I truly am now and where I need to go with it. I mean, because you show us where we are and what our potential is. Yeah. And like, wow, you know, this is so powerful. Really? That's me? You know, it's like, whoa. But you know, we all have it. Every one of us have this. And we all have such a potential that we don't always know because of the social, whatever we're in, and all the stuff we've been in our life, and we get caught up in that. And what you do is unpack all that stuff and help us see it in a whole new light, and give us that new path to connect to the ascension, the higher consciousness, and to move towards your truth of who you are. I mean, and that's what the show is all about to me, is having people truly step into who they are, to allow them to get through this, and to say, okay, I can't give up on myself. Just never give up, no matter what. Because when you get that divine light coming through, like you said, that nourishment, there's nothing like it. You're absolutely right. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's the whole reason you don't give up, because you know there's like this source love that just comes and permeates your whole body. And you're like, wow, it's just, I mean, you can sit and you cry. Some of those days I sit there and I cry as this energy is coming through me, because it's so overwhelming, because there's nothing like it on this in our reality except that. I mean, when you connect with that's your soul, as you're saying, that soul energy, there's nothing like it. It's absolutely overwhelming, and just the most beautiful. It's bliss. It's like being in bliss. It really is
bliss. I mean, that's it. Yeah, you've put that really beautifully. Exactly. When you are spirit driven, you're literally connected to spirit and spirit driven, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. You're
unstoppable. And like, you know, you are divinely activated at that point. You have, you know,
Yeah.
So much, you know, beautiful energy. But the only thing that I would like to say though, Janet, is that thank you so much for your beautiful praise. But, you know, you absolutely, as the creator of your reality, you created that program, right? You created me to be your guide at that point, you know, just as a facilitator to help birth what you already were in alignment with creating, you know.
See, that's wonderful to hear. And it's good for everyone here listening to hear that too, because we bring it to us. I mean, some people call that law of attraction, but you know, really we're the creators. We really are the creators of our reality. And
Yes.
own that is so important right now, you know.
Owning your creations is one of the most amazing, incredible, like liberating things that you can do for yourself. And it's also one of the toughest from a human perspective, because, you know, when you really, really get that you are creating absolutely everything in your reality, like everything is part of your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a big pill to swallow. And I'm not sure even I am there, you know. I'm not 100%, because there are still those times where it's like, you know, you don't want to own your creations, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier to go into victim or blame or whatever.
Yeah.
But I find myself, as I step forwards and go deeper on my own journey, there's such freedom and liberation and empowerment that comes from truly owning your creations and trusting in your creations. And I'm constantly amazed as I step forwards and I have trusted my guidance and I have like created according to my guidance. I look back in wonder at the beauty and the absolute divine perfection of, if this didn't happen at that point, then this wouldn't have happened. And this needed to happen so this could happen. And when I was frustrated because of that delay over there, I needed that delay. Otherwise, I'd have gone down that route when I needed to go down this route to end up here. And it's just like, it makes my heart sing. You know, it fills me with like so much joy and such a feeling, such a blessing, and also a feeling of great safety.
Yeah.
You know, to have that trust in your creations, that everything is, you know, being created in divine timing, divine order. There is this incredible perfection. Oh my goodness. I mean, isn't that just a weight off of your shoulders from the other school of thinking, which is, I'm responsible for everything. Like, you know, am I going to do this wrong or do that wrong? Or can I trust this person? It's so beautiful, isn't it? We're so...
Yeah. That brings so much freedom to us when we get to that point of understanding that, okay, our paths may not have been perfect. They weren't everything we wanted in our life. We made plenty of mistakes, and yet, but we learned. They were all learnings. I mean, and you don't even, and I've heard so many people say it's not even mistakes, it's just learnings. Don't even use that word anymore, because
no such thing as mistakes.
It doesn't even work, because it's not what it is. It's a learning, and you learn from those mistakes, and you learn from, you know, that this is, like you said, that path could have made me go down there, and look at it's got me back. And somehow spirit tends to get us back on our path somewhere, if you're really listening, you know, really well. I mean, and if you still have, I don't know, I think somehow it keeps pushing us back on. If, you know, you think that's true?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's natural and normal that we're all going to come off the track at some point. I mean, I connected first of all with my spiritual journey when I was 29. I rebelled against it at about age 34 to 36. And it was just like, nah, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And I was like back in the 3D world and whatever. It was like, you know, I'm not doing praying or meditating or any of these things anymore. And then it came and found me. You know, I went through this huge, multi-dimensional activation. These visitations happened, and these huge visions, and the downloads, and the like dismantling of one reality. So yeah, if you have it in your soul blueprint that if you are divinely coded to be on very much a spiritual path in this lifetime, and to like ultimately embody your soul, and then later on you're merging with your oversoul, which is your monad, and bringing that into the physical plane, which is the different stages of ascension, then you know, you're on that path, right? That's where your soul is heading.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you spirit will come back in, because you've created it that way. Like if you've set the intention that you're going to be like fully awake in this lifetime and fully embody your soul consciousness, then of course you're going to create opportunities for you to get back on the track after you've left it, so that you can come back into alignment. I mean, that's just what you would do, right? Because you've got your back.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's a good way of looking at it. I like that. We've got our own backs and we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
So it's trusting that.
Yeah, it's the trust factor.
It's trusting that. I mean, you know, we get to the stage where we might be able to trust spirit, source, God, universe, whatever we call it. But like the deeper thing is trusting ourselves. And that brings it back to like trusting your guidance. And I really like to talk about your guidance. I mean, I do believe that we have guides, and I do believe that we have teams, but a lot of people externalize their guidance. It's you, it's your guidance. It's how you're connected to source, to spirit. And like trusting in that, trusting in your guidance is a whole other story and a whole other journey to be able to do that, because we can trust in other things more easily than we can trust in ourselves often.
Yeah, it was interesting. Some of the people watching the show, I've had some, you know, great calls of people, and one person talked about how she has been out, she left her job and just, you know, and she could be listening, and she left her job and, you know, with the full blessing of her husband, because she knew her path was different. It was kind of like what you did, and kind of like what I did too in my own way. And she has just gone in and done inner work, and all these guides and all these divine happenings have been happening to her. And she's like, wow, I just had to have some validation to know I'm okay. And then this is all normal and this is all good. And I said, you are absolutely on the best path ever. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And she's totally trusting herself, which was so perfect, because that doesn't always happen. But she was trusting it. And I was so thrilled for her that she could trust herself. And I said, yes, you are doing it. And, you know, I'm here for support whenever you need it, but you are doing it. And I'm so happy for you, you know, and this is where people are coming to. And this is where we're coming to with becoming the creators and the trusting in of our own life, and to move into what you call ascension. Do you want to talk about a little bit about what the steps of ascension are, or like how you would call ascension? Because some people may not know what ascension is.
Yeah, so ascension in grounded terms is just, it's the human evolutionary journey. We're all on an ascension journey. The purpose of consciousness is to evolve, and we're all just different aspects of consciousness. So there is like more esoteric language, and I do get into that because quite honestly, it's how I've experienced my own ascension journey. Some people who are watching this may know the incredible work of Alice Bailey, who was a channel. I think it was like in the 1920s, something like that. It's very much part of the Theosophy movement.
Yes, Theosophy, yes.
She channeled some, you know, lots and lots of deeply profound, incredible spiritual texts, which spoke about many different aspects of the soul and about ascension and the presence the energy that was channeling through Alice Bailey was Dwal Kul,
Okay.
who is an ascended master.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwal Kul has also been my guide on this ascension process. And he comes through via a dear friend and mentor of mine, who is a clear channel. And so I'm very like tuned into his teachings, right? And Dwal Kul, when he was channeling through Alice Bailey, he gave these 7 different steps of ascension, and they're 7 initiations, if you like. And the first one is a physical initiation. So this is when you're being asked to gain like some degree of physical mastery of yourself. So like this is about your body. This is about caring for the physical. This is about creating firm foundations in the physical. So like, your work, we're all being initiated into the physical as soon as we're born. We're learning how to walk, talk, go to school, having our first relationships, first jobs, all of these types of things. Addictions, people who have challenges, initiations with addictions, and that was also part of my story. When I was waking up, that's part of the physical, like that's part of the physical initiation.
Okay.
So number 2 is gaining mastery over your emotional body. Also the desire body can be a lot of stuff that comes up, like sexual stuff around this initiation as well. Gaining some sort of mastery over your emotions. Number 3 is your mental body. So your mind, your thoughts. We are all creating through our thoughts, through our words, through our beliefs. So it's really gaining mastery over your mind. And then what happens at the end of that 3rd initiation, which is a big one, there is a key milestone, which is when you start to go through what's called the soul merge, which is when you're literally embodying your soul. You become a walking soul on the earth plane, which is a very, very sacred rite of passage, extremely spiritual stage of one's ascension journey or evolutionary journey. It manifests differently for different people. Can sometimes come with a crisis beforehand. It did for me. I literally thought that I was going to die. In fact, I called the ambulance out myself twice. Doesn't have to be that dramatic. For many people, it's not. But this is, it's a very sacred rite of passage. Things can get quite like supernatural at this point. So I received many different visitations, but it's very cool because you start to then be able to access your soul gifts. This is very cool, and like bringing them into the earth plane. And of course, when your soul has gifts, it's not just from your current lifetime, it's from past lives as well. Although there's no such thing as time. It's a non-linear concept. So it's like your quantum life gift.
Gotcha. So
that's very cool. And then stage 4 is when it's called, in esoteric terms, it's called the renunciation. Often there is some sort of, you are transcending the physical often on that, and I call it like the 4-5 bridge. When you're crossing the 4-5 bridge, it's often you're called to go somewhere else, like in the world. I went traveling in Guatemala, like Central America, visiting all these Mayan sites. I left my corporate career. I gave away all of my belongings. I mean, it was the classic, that I lived in a caravan or a trailer for 2.5 years, like a hermit, basically, and completely turned my back on all of the material stuff. And it's a rite of passage, stage 4 to 5. There's many tests that you create for yourself, many initiations, all designed to like help you to discover the gifts on the other side of it. And it's the hero's journey. This is really the hero's journey. So you are asked to face yourself, confront your fears, which are your own creations, and walk through them and activate and access the gifts, the gold that's on the other side of it. So for me, this was like coming out of my denial that spirit existed, and like, really like confronting those fears. And it got you know, I'm a powerful creator, so it got pretty scary for me at different times.
Yeah.
But, you know, the universe is always kind. So you are given mentors, guides, people that are going to support you on this sacred rite of passage home to the true you. At the end of stage 4, going into stage 5, another key milestone on your ascension journey. So this is when you are merging back in with your oversoul, otherwise known as your monad, otherwise known as your spiritual lineage, or your I am presence. They're all the same thing. So this is like the vaster field of consciousness, which, if you like, in linear terms, is the connector between source and your soul. So, and your monad or your oversoul contains many other souls, many other personality aspects. So this is when things get super, super awesome and multidimensional, because when you go through that, you're no longer a individual presence. You are then operating out of a collective consciousness. And you are then not only able to tap into your own soul gifts, but you're also able to tap into all of the soul gifts of all of your monad. So this is when things get really interesting. It normally comes with an up-leveling of your own mission. So this is when things start going global, and normally for people, and you start to be given more responsibility to influence and serve more people. And, you know, you start to be able to tap into gifts that you never knew that you had, which is awesome. You know, so this is like, I started off reading people's soul blueprints and letting them know about these creation codes that are in their profile. Well, I can now channel and upload these creation codes into people's soul matrix, into people's DNA. There is a creation code for everything. So like that's part of the gifts that are in my monad. I have a lot of master geneticists, alchemists. You know, I have a very much a sorceress energy. So that comes through there. And then you're basically from stage 5, you're in a process then of just gradually reintegrating more of your monadic consciousness, your I am presence, until you get to stage 6, which is really when you go through the full embodiment. So not only does your consciousness merge back in with your monad, but you actually embody your monad. So you become a walking monad on the earth plane, which is what Jesus the Christ was, which is what all of the ascended masters were, which is what all of us were back in Atlantean times. We were all walking monads on the earth plane. That is the 5th dimensional. Like that's the 5th dimensional consciousness that we're all wanting to get back home to, Lemuria, all of that stuff. So that's full ascension. You know, that's full ascension, stage 6. And then stage 7 is like an even more just esoteric, mind-blowing, mind-boggling aspect of that, because you then start to merge back in with the planetary consciousness, and you become like a, you know, it's like the logoic consciousness in esoteric terms. Logos, exactly. So that's how I understand it. It is a linear model, and I'm presenting in a linear way, but I want viewers to know that it's vastly multidimensional. Your soul can actually pick you up at any point, and you know, you can ascend. It's happened to many people, even in our current age, that, you know, they've become like fully ascended beings like in a blink of an eye. But for me, I recognize very much those different stages in my own spiritual evolution, and part of my role as an oracle, and part of what I'm training my oracles to do, is to be guides to others on their ascension process. Hey, Janet, you are actually, you're going to be one of my oracles.
Oh, yes, I am. I absolutely am, because this work is so profound. I mean, this is what got me back on my path. And this is what made me totally understand that I had to keep going. I can't give up, because I was in that point where, like you, when you said you stepped out of your spiritual work, well, I was sick and tired of meditating. I had dropped out of all that. And I'm like, well, and you know, I did have this amazing experience one day. I was sitting meditating before I dropped out, And I just had this download coming through my body. It was like this heat coming through me at a point where it literally started to hurt. And I'm going, okay, this is starting to really hurt, like burning my body, internally burning, where you couldn't do anything about it. It was like this holy fire in my body.
Was it Kundalini awakening?
I could not put a word to it. I didn't know how. I thought it was maybe the soul merge, but maybe it isn't. My Kundalini was awakened when I was in healing school, so I don't know. It could have been reawakened. Because I remember my Kundalini being awakened in healing school, and I had this. I was in bliss. This was not as blissful as that, but it was opening. It was a huge opening for me. But I remember my whole body was on fire.
Wow.
And I didn't know why. I don't quite really have an explanation, but I know I didn't tell anyone about it. And then I did a drawing about it. I did a drawing of how I felt. And then I just put it away and put it on my altar and left it there. And then I went to my group, my Magdalene Gathering group, and the woman who is she channels Mary Magdalene. She came up, she goes, "Something happened, Janet." And I went, "Yes, it did." And she goes, "Yeah, I can tell." And she didn't give me any more information, which was so hard. Like, why don't you say more,
Well, this is it. We don't always get the guidance when we want it in the clarity that we need it. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It could well have been the soul merge. It could well have been the soul merge. We all experience it differently. Or it could have been a Kundalini awakening. From
I never thought of that. It was
the activation of your light body. It's, this is it. This is why I have this vision, which I believe is a source guided vision, to train people to become oracles, aka ascension technicians and guides for others, because this stuff is confusing. And we're all doing our best to try and make sense of these experiences that we're having. Absolutely. And I know that I have greatly appreciated having guides on my path that have said, because I've had, lots of, similar, like really strange stuff going on for me. And it's like, what is actually happening? Am I going crazy? Am I about to die? Is this a Kundalini awakening? All sorts. I've been the anchor point for the 8th ray coming into the planet. One of the anchor points in Glastonbury that had my whole energy fizzing for like 2 weeks, 24/7. Do you know what I mean? Visitations, lots of like crazy energy stuff going on. And when you're left on your own to try and make sense of it, it can bring up a lot of fear to your humans. So having a guide who can help you to make sense of what's going on for you is essential in my opinion, because it brings in such a feeling of support and stop from freaking out.
Yeah, that's why, working with you is amazing. And, we all need a mentor. We constantly need a mentor to work with, like you're saying, because that creates a community. And the community is such support. And when you're not doing it alone, I mean, being in all the groups I've been in this year, I was in leadership, I was in this other group. I mean, the support is phenomenal. And when you're falling back, people start pushing you up again. Look,
we need community. We so need community.
We all do.
Like-minded community.
Yes, like-minded. Absolutely.
Finding your tribe and being able to be honest and be seen and understood and be in service to your tribe is so special.
Exactly. And that's the gift of this program for me, and for bringing people like you, so people can find who is their leader, who is their tribe. Well, not their leader, but who is the person that's going to help them on their path. Because there's no leaders anymore. We're just guides.
We're guides.
We all guide each other, and we're all helping each other. And so we're all masters on this planet, moving into our mastery, as you've said.
Absolutely.
It's all about moving into our mastery. And
we're all source.
Yeah.
we're all God. I mean, that's the hilarious thing. We're all God in these physical forms, in these physical bodies. So
I remember saying that when I was doing healing work and out of my home, like doing that one-on-ones, and I would say, you know, you're God. And they would look at me like, what? Like, I felt very blasphemously saying that to people, but I'm like, no, we are God, because we're all an aspect of God here, creating that experience that God is wanting to learn, because Source would not have any way to be connected to anything without us experiencing Source. Yeah. So we are Source's experience here in a physical form, allowing Source to have the experience. That's why we are all created through love, and there's no judgment on our experience, but you know, we are here to create mastery in our experience.
It's so true. And I just love the topic of your show, Own Your Divine Light. And I just think, I love it, Janet, that you own yours. Yeah. And you're not afraid.
No,
because we need to, you know, and everybody watching this, you know, I love the topic of Janet's, and you've got such a great, like, I adore Janet, and you've just got such a great ambassador. Like, she's walking her talk. She is owning her divine light and is out there sharing about all this stuff, you know, risking all of this judgment from the collective. Like, you know, and I think it's just such a beautiful gift that you're giving to people, and it's such a beautiful thing for everybody to do, to start owning your realities, owning your truth, owning your divine light, and shining it so brightly in the world, like so brightly that, you know, we can all start ascending. Like, we can go through this incredible planetary ascension, and we can like look forwards to this next incredible stage in Earth's evolution.
Yeah, and it's creating the world we've all been waiting for, that we talk about. It's that famous Mayan prophecy. This is we are the ones we have been waiting for. Yeah. There's so much truth to that. You could hear that 1,000 times, which I have, but you know, it's just the most profound statement, because it says it all. And also, we're creating the world we love, and that's what this whole mastery of ourselves and the ascension work is mastery of who we are as human beings. So I know you're going to just tell us briefly about your gift, because we're definitely over the moment, but we're doing great. So thank you. I mean, we probably went over. Sorry, guys, we did go over a little. I apologize. But go ahead. What were you going to say? What's your gift? Would you mind telling us a little more? Because I think.
Sure. Yeah, so very, very briefly, my gift for your viewers is the first step of going down the amazing rabbit hole of like understanding who you are at a really deep level, how you're divinely coded. You'll find out what your gifts are, what your goals are, what your soul destiny is, like who you are at soul level. You're also going to find out what the karma is that you're here to transmute also into your greatest gifts of gold. So I'm actually giving you a spiritual roadmap, something that you can use for life to navigate your way through life, and so that you can come into alignment with your divinity, with your soul essence, and so you can fully anchor in your soul gifts and share them with the world. So it's an incredible Hebrew esoteric system, which I've been working with for the past 4.5 years. I've given like well over 1,000, probably well over 2,000 readings now to people. It's a link, so just click on the link in the email that Janet's sending you. There is a promotional code, because it's normally £33 on my website, but I'm going to give it to you for free. And what you will get is you'll get your profile, and it works on the basis of decoding your birth name into Hebrew phonetic sounds. It's a form of spiritual numerology. So you'll see your birth profile, which is around a Star of David or a Merkabah. You're also going to have access to my 90-page ebook, so that you can look up what the meanings are of all of these amazing creation codes, which are found in your profile. And it's going to give you a lot of illumination, a lot of guidance on your path. And as I say, really help you, like it's a map, so that you can align with it and that you can make your choices, and it will help to give you some direction. So enjoy. And I wish for much illumination for all of you. And, you know, reach out and connect and let me know what you thought of it. Like, what do you think about your profile? Does it resonate with you? You know, are you amazed, like I was, about who you are and what your gifts are? I think it's going to be very cool for you to understand, like, how incredible you are. So that is my gift for your viewers.
Thank you, Ariella. That, I have to tell you, I use that every day. I downloaded that whole thing because when we work, and I have the cards, which, are you still making your cards?
I have my Oracle cards, absolutely, with the creation codes in it. So yeah, you were with me at right at the start when I just downloaded those. Yes. So I'm in the process of getting those into like proper production.
Oh.
So in the next months, they're going to be ready.
Those are amazing. I use those cards every single day. I can't get enough of them. And I have my little book sitting right there to read everything, and it's helping me. It just keeps you on a path. It keeps you like, okay, this is where I am today. Oh, look at that. And you know, it's such an awakening moment. And for all of you, please look at, it's a fabulous gift. You're going to get so much out of it. I can't say enough. I use it every day. So that's my testimony for that. It's amazing. So I'm going to say thank you to all our audience for joining us today, and we would love to hear from you. I love getting your emails. When I got them, I will send anything to Ariella. You can also connect with Ariella. You know, we always have that connection with the gift, and I have always answered them personally right now as much as I can, almost as immediately. I've answered the emails, and I've had some great connection with many of you, and I hope that, you know, you've gotten something from our connection. And always be free to connect with me. Please email me. I've always sent out, you know, different calls. You can connect with me. So, you know, thank you. And Ariella, is there any last final message you want to give us for our audience for 2019? I know you've given us a lot, so.
I was not really, I mean, I was just thinking that you're just such a good one to connect with, Janet, I have to say. And that, like, yeah, I know that you're so committed to your tribe and your audience. And I just love that you're answering all the messages personally and serving all of these souls. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And yeah, next year is takeoff. You know, 2020, this is where we're getting serious now in terms of like Earth shifting into its higher level blueprint. You know, and there is a lot of, there's going to be some very interesting things happening in the collective, but also because there's such high energies which are coming into the planet now, there's going to be, my strong feeling is that we're going to be able to step more and more into these incredible gifts, you know, things like astral travel, you know, becoming much more available to us now, these psychic, these like superpowers, you know, we're all going to be turning into like superhumans, activated, like multi-dimensional humans. You know, I really feel that in the years to come, we're going to be having some extraordinary experiences. I think it's going to be super cool and super cosmic and super supernatural. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because I've read many of those things, and I totally feel like, yeah, we are heading there myself. I love that. I love that.
We absolutely are, and many people are waking up, and you know, they're activating and accessing these gifts. So it's real, it's happening, and it's going to be happening to more and more of us. So
by doing the work and staying on this path, this is what you get. There's something always is for all the work you do. So keep on this path, never give up. And I'm going to thank you, Ariella, for sharing your beautiful goddess essence, your deep, insightful, and amazingly relevant understanding of how we are all raising our divine light. You are a huge conduit of light on the planet, and so grateful with your tireless passion, how you've helped so many people unlock their passions, ignite their authenticity, and finally create the lives they love. So thank you so much. I am Janet Miller, and I will see you all on the next episode.